Are you looking for an intuitive way to track your finances from your weekly salary? Then, you might be glad to know that you can easily set up a biweekly financial board using Budget Kanban. Let me guide you with that. But first, let's learn some basics. If you're paid every 2 weeks, a biweekly budget and tracking could be perfect for you. It means planning and monitoring how you spend and save money for each paycheck you receive every 2 weeks. While budgeting helps plan your finances, tracking shows how you actually spend. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to track finances using Budget Kanban. If you haven't already, register for an account at budgetkanban.com. After signing up, generate a new board and title it Biweekly Financial Tracker. You'll find various templates designed for different financial objectives. For this tutorial, we'll start from scratch. Select the blank template and click the Create Boards button. After a short moment, you'll have a brand new empty board ready to use. For the board, we'll be creating 3 columns representing 3 status of our budget items. The names of the column are arbitrary, and you may choose which column name is the most appropriate for you. But for the sake of this guide, we'll use the following columns: balance, now, and next. Let's start with the balance column. This holds financial items which have already been processed. If it's an income item, it's when you already received it. If it's an expense item, it's when you successfully transferred your payment. The total sum of this column reflects the actual money you have. Let's create this column. Provide a short description. For example, money I actually have, and click the Add List button. This creates a new empty column. You can click the triple dots from on the upper right corner of the column for further customization, like changing the theme color. Now, let's head over to the remaining columns. The Now column holds items that you allocated for the current bi-weekly cycle, which you still haven't held, but you know will be due next. For example, your salary will sit here up until it is reflected in your bank account. If it's an expense, it's when you know it's due sometime this period, but you haven't actually paid it yet. The sum of this column reflects your pending transactions. This could help you get an intuition on how you would allocate or pay debt if it's negative for the current budgeting horizon. Lastly, the Next column holds upcoming items for the next bi-weekly cycle. Although this may seem too far off future, having this third column helps in strategizing expenses within the month. For example, you may have a big expense in the next cycle, but since it's not visible for this cycle, you're at risk of overspending your current budget and getting surprised in the next one. By the way, you can rearrange the columns by dragging them in their new position. Once you enter the above columns, you should have a board that looks like this. Next, let's populate the board with income items, such as your bi-weekly salary. Since the Now and Next columns reflects our bi-weekly cycle, we need to add an income card with value of our salary. To add a new card, press the Add Card button at the bottom of each column. A form will pop up asking for the name and amount of the card. For instance, you can put March 1st salary with amount of $1,200 in the Now column and March 15th salary in the Next column. For the Balance column, since this is your first board, you can just add a card named Starting Balance with the amount of money you currently have. Finally, let's populate the board with expenses. Normally, for each budgeting session, you add your expenses, which may include fixed expenses, rent, mortgage, memberships, groceries, bills, etc. Depending on which part of the bi-weekly cycle you're going to spend these items, add them in Now or Next column. Notice that the column automatically sums the items. This provides you with instant feedback on how a single budget item affects your whole bi-weekly budget. You can easily move items between columns, which would help you strategize and experiment with your expenses. After you populate the expenses, your board should now look similar to this. Normally, the movement of card items is a linear process from Next to Now, and Now to Balance. Once you received your income, move the income card item from Now to Balance. Similarly, once you've paid for an expense, move the expense card item from Now to Balance. For a new budgeting cycle, you can move the items from Next to Now. At this point, the now item should be empty, else you forgot to pay an expense item, or you haven't received an income yet. If at some point you have an unexpected expense, no worries. Budget Kanban is designed in a way that will allow you to quickly react when your finances changes. You can freely add the expense card in Balance or Now and adjust your finance items by moving cards around. Sometimes tracking finances is a group ordeal. It could be between you and your small team, your accountant, your family, or your spouse. Good news! Budget Kanban boards can easily be shared where you and your team can collaborate in real time. Now you're all set. You can now track your bi-weekly finances in an intuitive and enjoyable way. Head over to budgetkanban.com and get started now. Don't forget to subscribe for upcoming tips and features.